Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are ya?
I'm doing great. I had to quickly get everything in order because you're like, oh, we're going live. And I was like, oh, I did not put my computer on focus.
I know.
And you're
You got to be on your toes. You got to be on your toes and you got to be ready. Just like, when Jesus comes back, you got to be
Right.
ready, right?
Is your nose as dribbly as mine because it's so cold here?
Oh, it was horrible. I hate every bit about winter. There's not a thing I like. The only thing that's allowed is snow on Christmas Day, and then I'm in Florida. So I was upset this morning because I was upset, but I was so thankful for my husband because he's so kind to me. And he went and started my vehicular. And because our remote start is not working in the Jeep, and he was my remote start this morning. Otherwise, I was very angry going to work out, and I was not in a good mood. And then we got there. So this is really funny. I think it's like 37-minute workouts. So we have like these stations. Well, you went with me. It's this, you move to 4 stations to do the whole workout. So I just read online that they were doing an experiment. This was Hell Week, I guess because of Halloween. And it really was. It was horrible. But there was a survey on Facebook that said, you didn't know it, but we upped your time at each station and we upped your class to 50 minutes. Do you prefer 7-minute stations or 9-minute stations? Well, I didn't know they did that. This whole week I've been doing 9-minute stations. And I'm like, well, now that you told me, go back to 7-minute stations. But I had no idea they did that to us this week during Hell Week. How are you?
Something that they would do on like April Fool's week.
Not Hell Week. I know. It's horrible. Yeah. So apparently I would vote for the 50-minute class because it didn't kill me.
It's different, right? 3-second different. It's 2 seconds.
3-minute. No.
You said
7-minute to 9-minute is what they moved it to. No idea they did that. But now I'm going to be exhausted when I go in on Monday. And
you mentally told yourself that you're going to be exhausted.
Oh my gosh. How are you? What are you doing today, Coach? What's on your...
I've got to venture out to work out. But yeah, I've got work to do. I found an amazing new podcast that I was listening to about protein.
Oh, okay.
That's very
awesome.
Informative things. So
yeah, I got some addiction training. Did I tell you? I don't know if this is new information since we did our last live, but I graduated from holistic medicine of addiction, and I am now a certified food addiction specialist, and gonna open up a whole new practice when it comes to our treatment and our recovery and food addiction, all of those things. So I got up this morning and I'm like, well, normally I should be studying. What do I do now? Yeah. What do I do? So I was working on my addiction program before
That's your next step is you need to create a program.
It's already created. It's created. And I have my first, I have a waiting list on this deal.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, it's really exciting.
Which brings us to what our topic is about.
I know. Yeah, totally.
We can ring in there a little bit.
Totally. I'm gonna turn up the volume because I'm having struggles hearing you.
Oh.
All right. So yeah, I mean, it really does. Emotional eating and food addiction does go hand in hand. There's different treatments for them. For example, there's no moderation for an addict. So good morning. I don't know who we're talking to, but good morning, love. I don't know who you are, but
I'm going to go look because it's on my page.
It's on your page?
Morning.
It just says Facebook user. Yes. So a lot of times people think, that they have a food addiction, and what they really have is emotional eating. It's probably one of the most common frustrations of a new healthy lifestyle. So we're going to talk about emotional eating, and we're going to define it first. Okay. We talk about this a lot during this season, for a particular reason, and that's because we're headed into holiday season, right?
Yeah.
And this is a really, really big struggle. There's a misnomer out there that, I'm going to just put on, like the freshman 10 or the freshman 15. I'm going to put on the holiday weight, so I might as well not try in the first place. And then, so all of these thought processes, head to, I might as well not try till January 1st. So we really hit the emotional eating topic a lot during this part of the season, because it really truly is probably the most. Good morning. I wish I could see who's talking to us.
Those are my people.
You're also you're also a Facebook user?
I am.
You don't have a name either?
Because I've paired mine to yours. So you can't see it. It's not your account, but it's mine.
Okay. All right. Well, good morning, everybody.
Yes.
So before we talk about emotional eating, we got to define it. Okay. And it's misdefined a lot. Some people with a chemical food addiction think that they have an emotional addiction, and it ends up that they are chemically addicted to food. Mm-hmm. And that's a completely different treatment process. So, and the other misnomer of emotional addiction is that it's all negative. Oh, it's Gretchen. She has a name on there. Why do some people have names?
I just told you, because she's your person on your following your.
She's my person. Okay. Gretchen, I'll always take her as my person. Well, a lot of people think emotional eating is all bad. And I think of the situation, I can literally transport myself, my body, into walking into Grammy's house. I can smell her house. I can see what's around me when I'm walking in there. And I just get overwhelmingly, that feeling when you walk into your grandma's house and you're going into the kitchen and she's got the cookie jar right there and it's full of chocolate chip cookies and you're like, just have to have one. So emotional eating is not always bad. Sometimes it is bad. Sometimes it's neutral, and sometimes it's actually a good thing. So I'm going to read the formal definition because I am a really good chopper upper, and I don't want to mess this up. But emotional eating refers to the practice of consuming food in response to emotional states rather than hunger. Okay? It involves eating to soothe or numb negative emotions such as stress, sadness, anger, or boredom. And it's also associated with comfort foods. And I'm also adding that it is also, I feel like boredom could be a neutral. Oh, yeah. That's neither good nor bad. There's trauma eating. I'm eating because I was hurt. I'm eating because I'm stressed, or I'm eating because it's noon and I'm bored. And my office, my kitchen is right next to my office, right? That's neutral. Or I'm eating because I'm happy, because I'm at Grammy's house. And that's what we do when we go there, okay? Can you think of some more definitions or more what your thoughts are when it comes to that definition of emotional eating?
Well, that's not my part of my section here. That's not what I studied up on. But I'll bring in a bit of mine of when I identify inner clients, kind of being able to identify what they're going through, because a lot of times our clients do add in notes like what's going on in their day, so we can kind of see if it's more of a stressful, like they've overloaded their schedules versus something traumatic that happened.
Right.
So you can kind of tell based on how they're eating what's going on a little bit, even though they may not see it. You can see it you can be looking in and seeing what through the window kind of thing. So you got to see what you identify the emotional eating as. That's kind of like, is it the boredom eating? I love that word numbing. I don't know why, but like a lot of times people use food as a Band-Aid because they don't want to deal with that. So they're using the food to numb their emotions. But again, like emotions are good.
Right.
Great. So
the problem is that's temporary. That numbing mechanism is temporary. Yeah. The minute it comes off leads to my second point of the impact of weight gain. Yeah. So that's when it becomes a problem, is what happens when that numbing wears off. Kind of like our dad went to the dentist yesterday, and when we first texted him, he was wonderful. He's things are wonderful. He even showed us his tooth. The dentist gave him his tooth back. And then suddenly he was like, oh, I'm not so good anymore. That numbness wore off. And the same things happen when you are emotionally eating. But the problem is the consequences that happen after that feeling of goodness wears off is you're left and you're left holding the bag of, say, 3,500 extra calories, which happens to be a pound of weight.
Right.
Now, what usually happens is it doesn't happen in 3,500 calories unless it's, legit. I mean, it totally could. But what happens is it comes on an eighth of a pound at a time. So you get into a calorie surplus of over 3,500 calories, and you're bumping that thing up little by little. And eventually, the average weight gain in a year is 20 pounds. Right? Mm-hmm. So that's the consequence. And that's the frustration when you don't put mindful eating and when you fall prey to this emotional eating, whether it be good, bad, or neutral.
Right. A lot of times people, when they are doing that, they're doing it for a purpose. And it's because they want that dopamine, that hormonal, excitement that is happening when you are eating the foods that are, what you're doing is you're covering either the trauma or you're covering the emotional event that's happening in your moment and you're tying those two together with that dopamine, those happy hormones. And we've overused those to the point where they are numb. So the only time we get that is by feeding it.
Yeah.
Those foods, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of our Facebook users says, I believe it has a lot to do with the years of programming of schools and family. If you don't eat at all, you're a bad person. And the guilt. How many of us were told, if you don't eat what's on your plate, there's starving people in China? No idea where that came from. But I was a part of that generation of the Clean Plate Club where you just did it, and that does lead to guilt. I just left a bunch of food on my plate. There's really hungry people out there. So it does lead to guilt.
Which then
and
for
shame.
Moms, we then go dive to our children's plate after our clean plate has happened. Then we're like, well, it's a clean their plate, so I must clean their plate too.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I remember, the kids would only take a couple bites of their Happy Meals, and guess who was ending up eating the Happy Meal? It was me. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So when you work with clients, and you're talking about client experiences, one of the things that helps you the most as my macro coach, right? You take care of all of our clients' macros is when they tell you, and that's one of the first exercises that I teach my addiction clients is, what do you do when you're experiencing that, when you're feeling and that trigger is coming on? We're going to talk about identifying those triggers, but what do? What helps you as a coach is when you hear from your clients as to, okay, what was going on in this particular case, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Patty, I see you now.
I see you. You're a part of my people.
Apparently we're not peoples, Patty. So let's talk about a couple of the triggers, okay? And by the way, we are going to end this right at 11:30 today, so I'm going to be pushing us just a little bit today. And we do have a free giveaway today, so we also have to get that on the books. But what are some of the triggers? So triggers can be events, situations. I talked about one trigger, walking into Grammy's house. That was a good trigger, right? You talked a little bit about some stress triggers. What are some of the triggers that you see coming through our clients when they are journaling for us?
A lot of them comes from a lot of the overwhelming stress that's going on in their life. There's also relationship stressors, triggers from people that they want to control, but they really can't, but they're stressing over it anyways. So that is a trigger. You talked about the boredom eating, the habits that we create when we are sitting in front of a TV. So that's a trigger. So, I can't think of another one.
And to counter some of those triggers, like, for example, the boredom one of the things that I do the most, because my kitchen is right next to my office now, now that I work full time from home, I put a piece of gum in my mouth. Because if I am not thinking about, oh gosh, there's that, yummy thing out in the kitchen, I brush my teeth or I put some gum in my mouth, then I'm actively doing something. But first, before any of that has to happen, we talk about any of these things, is you have to identify it. First step to healing yourself of addiction is acknowledging and admitting that, okay, I have a problem, but not even necessarily that, but okay, there is something in my mind that I am concocting that sounds really good in the kitchen. I'm really, really stressed. It happened to me a couple of last week. In fact, I was dealing with a really, really serious situation and something we're involved with here and trying to bring right to the wrong. And I was under an extreme amount of stress, and I suddenly looked down. I was on the phone. I was taking a call. I was really hammering out some things. I was under immense stress. I looked down. My spoon was in the peanut butter, and I hadn't taken a bite. And I'm like, what the heck? It was so intense and so strong that my spoon was literally in the peanut butter. And did I choose to have some peanut butter at that time? Yes, I did. But when I acknowledged that my spoon was in there, I actually took out my measuring spoon and I said, okay, I want this. I'm going to choose to eat this, but I'm also now going to measure it out. And then I put the peanut butter away. So that's not a good or a bad thing. It happened to be lunchtime, but I didn't even realize that my spoon was in the peanut butter.
Right.
How many times do we do that during the day? Or drive through a drive-through,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a comfort food.
Yeah, absolutely.
So based on those triggers, for me as a macro coach, I do see, like I was talking about before, I do see those habits starting to form in people's on their food list of what they do. They have their comfort foods that they tend to go to. There's certain snacks, their boredom food. Those pop up often in there. So I like to try to get the client to just identify it for themselves by encouraging, like asking questions. I mean, Monica and I both are life coaches. I got certified as a master life coach as well. And I get to use these tools to help clients identify these things and help to throw some tools at them to say, hey, if you're ready to change this, these are some tools that you can use, right? So to help them do some of these practices, I know if they are willing to do it and they do practice them, then I know that it is, something that they can do, that they don't need any extra help. But if I know that they're doing the opposite of what I do, then that's when I know that maybe it's a little bit beyond what I can help.
Right.
We always tell our clients, like, if we're showing up and you're not showing up, that shows us that we're wanting this more than you.
Yeah.
So
we're giving them the tools, or you're giving them the tools and saying, okay, I'm noticing this on your macros every day. And you ask them questions. What's going on behind that? What is behind, that? I saw this thing. In fact, let's see, where is it? Abstinence is recovery. That's one of the things that I deal with. That's a myth, there can be things behind it. It's a misnomer that a relapse, when you're addicted to food, that a relapse happens the minute you pick up that donut. Yeah. That's not when the relapse happened. The relapse happened about 5 stages before that. What was going on? So I am trained to say, okay, when recovery was going well, what was happening? But then what happened? When we force the client to go back and think, okay, gosh, that's what it is. Then we say, okay, with addictions, it's different treatment, but for emotional eating, perhaps there's some trauma involved. Perhaps there's some deeper things that coaches like you and I cannot address. And that's when we say, okay, have you ever thought about therapy? Have you ever thought about really teasing that out with somebody who can help you work through that? We're going to give you the physical tools on what to do with that emotional eating. We're going to talk about the 20 chews. Shout out to Ask Nurse Cindy. I miss her, by the way. I haven't seen her. Have you seen her?
she's hanging out with Ken Berry and
Oh, geez. I haven't seen her on my feed and my Facebook feed at all. But shout out to Ask Nurse Cindy. We miss you.
that's an algorithm thing.
Oh, hey, let's stop for a minute. Let's stop for a minute and let's give away our free item. We've got our free holiday cookbook. This is a really good thing. You want to have your camera ready. You want to be ready to download this free cookbook as soon as it pops up here. So we'll be back in just 1 minute. A gingerbread guy. I think he should be in all of our videos. I think he's so cute.
Really cute.
So let's close out this session today and talk about coping strategies. Okay, the things that we can do tangibly. If you are like the step before, we're not talking about therapy. We talked a little bit about that beforehand, but let's talk about the specific coping strategies that we can do as people who are maybe under a lot of stress, the holidays coming up, those kinds of things, right? I was reading my comments here. Okay, haha, consequences, right? I did that with a fresh slice of raisin toast as I fixed it for my husband who was in a challenge itself. And she had an instant headache. So that is one of the coping strategies. That would be on the traumatic side of, sometimes when we make those choices, we're going to be faced with a big, massive headache, right?
Right. I think we first of all need to again identify the issue. That's I think the first of all of how to manage that, what we need to manage. Mm-hmm. It could be as simple as a hormonal hunger. Because for ladies, like there's a certain time of your month that you are feeling like you're needing to feed this emotional or just extra craving or all these things. And it comes down to it's because of the hormones. So you need to identify, are you emotional?
What's root?
And yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you need to identify that versus or is it some past trauma that you need to work on as well?
Yeah. Is it stress? Is it hormonal? Yeah. Is it children? Is it husband? What is it? You've got to identify it. That's called being mindful. Right. Being mindful of your feelings as well as your food before. Soaking in when you have identified it, soaking in the texture, the feel, the taste of that food. Sometimes when we get into such an emotional eating, say binge or something, we don't even notice the taste of the food. I didn't even notice my spoon was in the peanut butter. I didn't notice. I've got feathers flying all around. Somebody just shook back there. But if it's stress, okay, what is going on with this stress? Identifying that stress. Is there anything that I can do to get rid of this stress? I love box breathing. And I'm not into the heebie-jeebie breathing stuff, if you do you, if you're into that, I'm not into that. But by box breathing, by acknowledging, breathing in, holding it for 4 seconds, breathing out, that gives your mind the opportunity to catch up with your stomach or what thinks it's a stomach issue of wanting that food, right? It gives that time, that processing time to happen. Can you think of any other stressors, like things that you can do to relieve, the stress reduction, relieve that stress around you?
I love journaling. Honestly, I do like that. I also like to.
You make your clients love it too. Really. That's what they tell me. They're like, Darcy says I have to journal.
Yes, well, but they say that begrudgingly because they don't like to journal. But I always encourage them to say, to when you don't know what to write, is just start asking yourself questions like, how am I? Like simple questions. But I love the circle of control idea of being able to take a situation that you're stressed out about, or if you keep overloading your schedules, what are the things that you what is she tattling on me? She can't.
She can't make us
Well,
like
she
it.
doesn't.
You will do it and you will like it.
Will do it and you'll like it, but they do it begrudgingly because they know it works. But just
It
being
does
able
work.
to visually see the issue, visually see what's going on in your head, saying, okay, in this situation, what can I control in the situation?
Right.
Most likely, it comes down to the fact that you can't control anything in the situation but what you're thinking and what you're feeling about the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So it may be even how you like what you personally take from it. That is all about you. You cannot control what other people are feeling and doing and
Yeah.
responding to. So
Yeah.
I love to have them journal because it gets it out of their head. It stops festering in there and building up gunk.
Maybe it's not even as bad as what they think once they get it on paper.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
that's
why I
not as
also
bad.
like the to-do list because when I feel like I'm overwhelmed, yeah, it's in my calendar and my phone keeps bleeping me when I have an appointment coming up.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to have the to-do list because it just comes down to, oh, I have 5 things to do. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
about it. And you know what? It's going to be there tomorrow if you don't get it done today.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you have to be able to come to that mindset first in order to come to that conclusion.
I got to highlight this comment. This is so true. This is so scary true. The reason I don't like it is the same reason why it works. If you put it on paper, it makes it real. That is so true.
Yeah.
Or if you put it on paper, maybe it's not as bad as what you really originally thought. And you're like, oh my gosh, I was freaking out over that. Yeah, that is so true. Yeah,
That's my
being
number
mindful.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Number one mindful or not mindful, number one tool I love to go to, but that's
I like to another thing, I don't like to, but another thing I do is I will step outside. So if I am faced with something that is just I'm like driven to that kitchen to go put my spoon in the peanut butter dish, I will just go outside and I will walk around the block. And I do that even if it's freezing cold out. And I don't like to, but something about that oxygen and that vitamin D, the sunshine, the air that's coming in, feeding your brain, the oxygen, there's something that just kind of decompresses. So you step away. It's kind of like the anchoring. We talk to our clients a lot about anchoring and recreating the memory pathways for the good things that we miss, maybe that was not on our lifestyle or our old lifestyle of eating. The opposite holds true for the anchoring, is you can unanchor some of the old addictions, which could be emotional. I have a fly that is just driving me crazy. But you can unanchor some of those things. And one of the ways you do that is when you are under some major stress, you just take it outside. Take it outside, take your coffee cup outside, go walk the block.
Yeah.
By the time you're done, that craving has passed.
Well,
so the other, go ahead.
I was going to say, on top of that, when it comes to the holidays, being able to remove yourself from situation or recreating new traditions, because the holiday season's coming up, you're going to have all these new traditions, or not new traditions, these traditions that you've had for years.
Yep.
And they're harming you more so than, especially when it's built around food. So building new traditions with family and friends is a benefit. Like it's going to be healthy for you and it's going to keep you on track, but it's also going to maybe impact other people around you, saying, oh, that was actually fun. Actually having a conversation and playing a game is a lot more fun than making these sugary cookies that we're just going to binge it later.
Yeah, absolutely. And, maybe having some of the healthy snacks. So let's say that there's going to be some emotional eating happening at Thanksgiving. We know we're going to overeat over Thanksgiving. Well, let's have some really super duper healthy food that you can put out as snacks when we're playing euchre, when we're, so we can still fill our plate. We can still go through the motion of being with family, of snacking, but we're going to put some healthier stuff out there. Okay. So the other thing is, and here is the really cool part about everything and why we do what we do. We have about 38 to 40 clients right now. I haven't counted the last, but one of the really big benefits is having a coach and bringing in that support, bringing in that professional help to come in and say, you know what, I'm just going to tell you right now, I can't do it by myself, which is why I have become so unhealthy. And that's why that's why I hired a stinking coach for my workout, because I know that I am not going to go down to Planet Fitness. That's only $10 a month. I'm not going to go there because I know Jess is waiting for me over here where I pay buku bucks, and I need her professional help because otherwise my butt won't be there. One of the really cool things that we have going on right now, and I don't know why I made this decision. I made it because I'm the owner of the company and I can do these things, but I just did a ridiculous deal to where people can have a coach until February, 90 days for our women's program. Stinking coach. So we have Darcy. I had to close mine because mine was full. Where I'm running our hormone feeding program with a group of women right now who are doing absolutely stunning. These guys, like these ladies, just like are killing it. And they're only in their second week. They're just doing amazing. But for 90 days, you get a coach. Well, I didn't think about it when I created this deal. This is going to give them a coach through the holidays. Like, well, that's where you should raise the price, right, Monica? Not the way I run this company. So, so you are starting one. You are starting one on November 15th.
No.
No?
I thought it was the 24th.
I opened the doors on the 15th. There's a little communication problem about that, but they will have a coach through the holiday season all the way till February. I do know that that is the right date. Yeah. So Darcy will put her link down there. If you are a woman, you have to be a woman for this program. We will coach you through the holidays if you're a man as well, but you gotta come in a different door. But this program is specifically for women, where she's going to teach you how to eat based on your hormones. So she's going to fill up her group pretty quickly. So if you want to get in that deal, she will put her link in the comment section. So I will, Darcy will put the link in the comment section there below. And if you want a coach and if you want that professional accountability through the holiday season to really help you through this emotional eating and help you know what to eat, when to eat, when I heard rumors that you're going to let them eat sweet potatoes through this program.
You know what? It sounds great. It matches my sweater today, so why not?
Oh gosh, that's right. So if that's you, if you're frustrated with your weight loss, your mindset behind weight loss, with your hormones going out of control, this is the program that is for you. So Darcy, do you have any last thoughts before we end it for the day? This is like, I need to be on time more often. This is like professional when we. I know.
I get to say everything.
I know. I'm sorry.
Don't have anything else other than joining us, Ageless Keto. I'm trying to put the link on. It's apparently not wanting me to put the link on. But you can always go to our pages, and it's going to be there as well. So.
Private message us for sure, because it's not actually on the page, because this is a special deal just for this holiday season. It's not letting you post the link there. She'll go through after this is over and post those things. If you need to grab a hold of us, just direct message us and say, hey, I need that Ageless Keto deal. Okay. Yeah. It's only $350 for 90 days, which is absolutely, it is literally my $14.99 program. So we are really, we believe in it. So, all right. We're here every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. We hope to see you next week. Let us know if there's a topic that you want us to cover. We'd be happy to do so. We'll cover anything. Anything. For sure. Nothing off limits. So you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll see you next week.
Toodaloo.
Bye-bye, guys.